Sure.
Hold on. I'll move. Where are you?
I should be sharing a screen there.
Uh, let's see.
So yeah, in the chat, just slide over to like hover over my.
Yeah. I'm here.
All right.
I got it now. You up?
So this should be so. So let's see if any of these actually have what we're looking for. So I'm waiting for a couple of them actually here, right? So for instance, let's take a look here. So we have a couple examples in here, quite a few here. So here's your daily red moon, right? Pops up in this box here. Now, what the daily red moon is normally will run into a daily red trend, right? So you see that we get that. Over here, daily red moon happened. The red trend was already there, right? So that kind of works out. So either way, the trigger is that red moon. Here's a red moon. There is no daily trend until here. And then this is the trade that we would, actively work over. Here, we get another daily red moon, right? And this is where understanding the RSIs come into play, because eventually this trade ends, right? So this is where I think some guys get confused because they don't know eventually the reversal is coming, right? And this is why the close here is on the, and I'll just box this out real quick. So the close of the trade is basically when the RSIs are
3 hours, 4 hours moving up.
Yeah, because you can see here we get a red moon, and then you have the 4 hour actually headed up during this time period, and then we go to a green moon.
Yeah, but you just about bottomed out when the red moon comes up.
Yeah, and then if we take this area and we kind of like take a peek at this red moon here, it would come a little bit somewhere in here, because it's always a little bit of a lag, but it would flash, right? So it's a daily moon somewhere in this target here, right? Now it doesn't look like much, but actually any of these tiny little movements are huge. So even if you got in at the bottom, like in here somewhere, and you got in at the top of that or in the middle, I mean, it's still almost 1%. So if you're doing a 25x or whatever, you're still getting your move. Now, the end of it is basically this, right? So when you look at it, the closing of it, let's see if that's in there. It should be, yeah, let's see. Once confirmed, use a 3-minute entry system. So I'm going to add that in there, how to close this out. So that's what should be in there real quick. All right, so to close this out in the video, we talk about that once the RSIs start to head up, once the 3 hour RSI, yeah, once the 3 hour RSI confirms with the 4 hour RSI, which basically happened here, and you get a green moon, which is here, then you're done. That trade isn't valid. So if you looked at that particular trade at that time, you would have noticed that your 3 hours headed up. And then if you did do this trade, you would take it somewhere here when the 4 hour would be coming down in this section. So I'm just going to mark this RSI real quick, so you kind of like understand where we'd be looking for an entry here, right? So when you go to the daily, right, so there's your RSI coming back down, and hopefully everything else is in there, but just kind of like on that side. So now when I slide into this daily here, because we're looking for that trade at that time, right, that's where we would have seen the possible trade happen right here. You see that? So that would have been that trade in here. And then once this heads back up, which is, kind of where the crossing is, right? So I'm going to put this here basically where the daily crosses, right? Which would be the end of the trade. You slide here and go to your 3 hour. And we can see that the 3 hour ended. This is where the 4 hour went up, right? So we can see the 3 hour already ended here. So when the 4 hour started going up here, right, you would have got out of that trade, right? Because you have 3 hour going. There's the 4 hour going up. The 3 hour is already up, and you have a green moon. So you'd be out of that trade, right? So you'd basically working off of the 3 hour moon, 3 hour green trend. I'll add that to the end of that thing, but yeah, that's pretty much a closed trade there. It's when you're working with the 3 hour green trend, because you can see that trade happened here and it's happening literally in the 3 hour red zone. See, so all these trades that we're working are 3 hour trends, right? So I'll put that in the trade that I'll add it to it. But once the 3 hour trend goes green, you're pretty much done on that trade.
Done.
Yeah, so that would have been
Right. Okay.
closing out here. So even if you were buying in these trades here and fighting around these trades, you got a green trend right there that would have ended that trade.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the whole part of it.
Okay. So how how can I set the four position trade on a short? Is the cross on the volume indicators, or should it be on the RSI?
RSIs, because what you're going to be looking for is so for me, right, the easiest thing to do is like no matter what coin we're on, right? And the first thing I
Right.
do, I want to make a video on where kind of like looking at the movement, right? So this is kind of where you want to take a peek and see if the coin is worth it, right? So the first thing I do here is look for my 3 hour red trends, right? And I take my profit and I say, okay, if I would have got in this trade here, how much would that have been around, right? So if I'm looking here, normally on these bigger trades, you want to stay around 5 to 10%, right? So this is about 7. Maybe I got in at the bottom of that wick, so it's about 7. That's not bad. And you want to start at like you want to make sure that you check them all, because some of these coins aren't worth trading, right?
Right.
Because they don't give you a lot of percentages. So that's about 7. Because a lot of times you look at see these same movements here, like you'll see this movement here on another coin, and it'll be worth like 50%. Right, so this
Right.
isn't bad. It's about 25. So it's about half the size of, the other coin. So that means that this coin would be worth it. And then I look at the lowest parts, and I want to see if this trade, if I'm in a little bit different. All right, so 8%. So that means if I'm doing, and you have to remember you're doing a 20x, so that'd be 20 times
Right.
10, so you're about 160, right? So it's not too bad.
60.
Yeah.
Right.
So not too bad. So once we find that, the whole point is looking at what triggers the trade, right? So for me, my trigger would basically be going into the 4 hour, right? And this is where I would want to know, I would set an alert on my RSI once per bar, right? And
And
because
what do you what do you move? What do you take out on the message? Anything, or you leave it in?
yeah, I take out right after RSI. I take everything
Right.
out until it gets to Matic, because all I want to see is
Okay.
RSI Matic 4 hour.
Gotcha.
And then boom, I create. Right. And the
Okay.
reason why I use the 4 hours, because the 4 hours also in the other trades is going to be used to find B trades, which is the best trade to do next to an A trade when you're doing day trading. Right. So these
Gotcha.
4 hour indicators right here are going to alert you on multiple trades that you have. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the section there, right? So, and the key to this is trading with the the 3 hour trend in there, right? So once the trend changes, that's kind of where you're out of your trade. So in this little zone here, we would have, you could have had a couple possible pullback trades that came in, and then once it went green, you're pretty much done there. It has one more pullback, but then the RSIs are already working up. So this is kind of like letting you know that it's consolidating, and these trades would have
Right.
manifested, you'd have been out, and the only thing you would be doing here is basically waiting for a reversal, right? So the reversal here would have been something like, and you can see here you have different hits that come in, and then finally here it grows. So this is kind of like evaluating, all right, where was the thing here? What I like to see is once I get to the bottom of a pullback, right, or the end of a trade, I like to see a couple volume movements, right, which is like here I have a small volume hump, then it comes back, goes negative, and then has another hump in there. Now these are making, like, it doesn't look like much, but once I have one
Right.
volume hump that comes in, comes down, when it comes to this next 3 hour moon volume positive, I mean, I like these trades here, right? They're 4% solid trades, but these are more like day trading, right? So that's somewhere that I would take my 50x right here and get 300%
Right.
here, right? And what I like to do is every time
Right.
it goes positive, then when it comes here, you see how it goes, it builds up, it's building momentum. So here it goes again, and it's building
Right.
off of that move, and then boom, I get my, everything kind of lines up.
Big spike.
Yeah,
Right.
you come into the spot, and next thing you got your 3 hour trend. You can check your RSI. So if we look at this part here, and we go to our daily, you can see when this all happened, right? The daily started to bend up. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
The daily starts to bend up. We get notified on this candle here, and then we see the money move up, and you also see the blue line go up. So that's a big factor.
Right.
So that's part of it. 4 hour, looking overall. Here the 4 hours headed up, so we'd be looking for riding this wave. We get a 4 hour moon. That's what we want to see. The next thing we want is those moons to build into positive volume. So everything right here is coming off the bottom, which is basically alerting us to the other side or the longer position, right? So the catalyst for this, versus the areas that you have, is you're getting a green moon, but you didn't get your positive volume. So once you get that positive
Right.
volume, this is where we start to see the movement that we want, and then we can look to enter once we get a green volume there. So as you kind of go through the numbers here, you can see that a lot of times staying in those bigger 2 hour moons, positive volume, right? Those are the trades. So a little bit earlier, you'll hear me talk about the 1 hour trade, right? A 1 hour trade, day trading, is basically you get a 1 hour green moon, and then you get positive volume, which happens here, and then you would enter that trade. So that would be the trade right here.
Mm-hmm.
See your little green spike right there? You'd be looking to get into
Right.
this trade, and we actually reviewed that trade in there. So there's a one. Those trades basically hit for day trading, scalping, and all that. Position
Right.
trades, that's the reversal that you're looking for, right? So now in this position
Mm-hmm.
here, you're getting your 1 hour, you're getting your spike. The 4 hour, the daily starts to head up. Then you get your 2 hour positive volume. So then you're in over here, and then you're basically riding this the other way. So just
Okay.
a
All
quick
right. Now.
quick recap, right? So always focus on the daily, right? Daily
Mm-hmm.
is our key here. It's on its way down. How do we know when it's over? We go to the 3 hour. Once the 3 hour makes its decision, which is it's running up here, we're waiting for it to finish. It turns to a green moon. Then it goes into a green trend. We're out of this trade. Now we look for the next
Right.
trade, which would be the daily heading up, which at this point it does reverse for us. So now you have a
Mm-hmm.
3 hour moon. You have 3 hour positive volume. Here's your entry because your daily's with your 3 hour moon, 3 hour positive
Mm-hmm.
volume. You enter, and that's your long for your position trade,
Right.
because all that other
And
stuff
then
already happened.
right, and then basically, I guess you're out of this position trade on the cross when your red moon starts to when you're losing volume.
Yeah, yeah.
Up.
So you come
Yeah.
back in your three. You push up. You see your
Right.
RSI starting to break down. You get a three
It's-
3 hour red
right.
moon.
Yeah.
You're out. Comes back
Right. Yes.
down.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally overbought. Right.
Yeah, and then you get the little pullback on the 3 hour. It starts to move back up
Mhm.
based on your checklist, which is 1 hour, 30, 15, all in your direction. You would re-enter here, back up, and then right here when it gives up, you get another 3 hour red moon. You're out again here on the 3 hour. You're getting RSI pullback, and then here it starts to reverse, and it's the same thing. If it's heading up, as long as the 1 hour, 30, and 15 are with you, you'd re-enter here, and then it spikes back
Yeah.
down, and you're out again. So the longs are based on you're playing the 3 hour moons with the RSI.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So now my other question is, like stop loss. And so I didn't go into MEXC. I mean, I know there's paper trading that's on in trading view, but it's like it seems totally confusing to me because they're talking about like I don't know, this is picks and I'm like I'm totally lost. So when you said hey you're available now, I'm like oh yeah well yeah let's
So
get this over with.
All right, so here's my trade, right? So I have a YGG trade, right? It's a 12x short,
Okay.
right? So what do you mean?
Uh-huh.
Like you're having trouble adding the stop loss?
Yeah, well, just figuring it out. So if you had to add, because when I was in the other little live thing,
Hmm.
just listening to them, it's like some of them totally disregard like three-quarters of the whole program. It's like no wonder why you're not doing anything right.
Yeah, yeah,
Not putting a stop loss on.
yeah,
Looking at the 30-second and the 1 minute to try to forecast what you think's going to happen in
right,
the 3 minute. And yeah, it's like, well, wow. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure if you're losing money, you
right.
just get back to the basics. But so I'm want to make sure I'm 100% totally comfortable being able to open the short and go right to setting in the stop loss, uh, and just consistently keep doing the same thing over and over and over. I don't want to. I mean, yeah, I'll probably stumble, but
Yeah, you
I
want to
need to
have
be able to know. Yeah,
the
I need to
steps.
be able to know. Hey, look, this is what I got to do. If I take too long to do it, okay, I'll get better at it. But I don't want to be going. Oh wait, well, what's this? And am I supposed to click that? And what am I supposed to put here? No, I'm not. I'm not interested in trying to learn on a job basically while
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be making
Right.
money.
So yeah, so basically, so you'll have where, and I'll kind of like rerun it, but your position trades, they're all a little bit different. So we do have a stop loss system that's in place, just kind of like an overall for everybody. So if you're in your,
Right.
kind of like looking at your videos, I think it should be. Let's see, like start course. Let me see what's actually in there. Understanding RSIs, trading view setup. Yeah, here's your. So this is the stop loss section, and I'll kind of pull up the basics there. So let me big screen that real quick. All right, so doubling your bag, so forth. So this is starting your journey. Okay, is that the stop loss in there? Hold on.
Yeah, no. I mean, I know, what the whole program, as far as, setting it at 10%, once you hit 15% profit,
Yeah,
dropping it down to zero line. And then you could, follow it after that, trail it with, 10% and move it as far
yeah,
as, as the profit goes down to push your take profit out. If you're sitting there, basically watching what's going on, or just set it and basically forget it. And when it hits you 20%, great, dude, there you are. You got it. My thing is when you go to add the short.
mm-hmm.
I mean, sorry, when you go to add the stop loss,
On the plus sign right here.
what am I? Yes. What? Okay, so all right, so that looks totally different in MEXC than okay. So basically,
So
we just
let me
putting
ask you.
in.
So do you have Mexi? Okay,
Yeah.
so do
I
you
never.
you don't have these set up? This doesn't pop up like this.
No, I didn't go to MEXC to look at it. I
Oh,
was in Trading View, so
oh
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, man, this seems too freaking complicated.
No, no, no,
So
no.
yeah,
So yeah, what you
that's a
want to do
lot
is
better.
like start off, go to MEXC, right? Because I know like a lot of guys will
Hmm.
go to trading. You do paper trading, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't connect emotions, right? The whole thing is
No.
getting over emotions. So it doesn't matter if you only use $5, right? But use something. Use 5 or 10 bucks, right?
Hmm.
That way you can see the system is, right? So when you go to MEXC, you get the little plus sign. It should be the same thing. This is where you type in your number. This is where you do percentages. So all you have to do here is if you're doing a 10% stop loss, you just put 10. If you're doing 50% profits, you just put 50. And then you confirm.
And that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
Now,
shit. That,
once you get to you hit the little, you go back, it doesn't hit the plus sign, you go to the little ones here because you have take profit, you have one, stop loss, you have two. You can add multiple, right? So if you were in
hmm.
this little zone here, right? We're editing this. You can actually come up here and they have like different parts that you can take, right? Let me see if they have the um,
There's not a section in here to do a trailing stop loss.
Yeah, so if you're going to do like a trailing stop loss, right, you would slide over and let me see what they have on here. You would come in and you would put yourself over here. So if you're doing setting any of that up, you can like pull it up there. But here's your, let's say you do a short, right? So now you have a trigger
Mm-hmm.
price, you have a stop loss trigger. You can do, I think you might be able to change these, right? So trigger estimated. I know they just updated a couple of things. Let's see. Maybe on the top here.
Because I mean, if it was that easy, enough, if you just did a
Yeah.
10%
So
trail
here,
stop loss,
you hit,
it would,
yeah, you just hit trigger, right? Hit
yeah.
trigger, and then over here you have, you can go to trailing stop loss. But Google that on how to
Okay.
use that, or go to
Yeah.
MXC
Right.
and like see what they want.
Gotcha.
And that'll help you like
Okay.
get that all set up.
Yeah. I mean, that's more along the lines of, really easy. So my other question was when you're entering, so we're on a position trade, everything's setting up, going through the checklist, everything's there. You still go to the 3 minute and go ahead and enter on that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
what you have
So
to learn is
how
go ahead. Go ahead.
uh-huh.
Go ahead.
No.
No. What's your question?
I'm just trying to
What's your
figure
question?
out how it's correlating to the day as far as when I'm in MEXC. I'm looking at Trading View and I'm on the 3 minute and 3 minute red moon, 3 minute red trend. You got negative volume. Okay, I'm getting in. So I'm coming to MEXC. MEXC. We're on the day chart, or should we not be? On the daily?
You can put this anywhere you want. That's just kind of like, because you're not using now.
Okay.
The only thing that matters here is if you were actually using this, right? So some people who don't have Trading View will put indicators over here, use the candles over here, right? So like here, I don't even have the.
Okay.
Yeah, these are just basic candles, right? So, but you could come over here and
Right.
like add indicators. You can put,
Right.
yeah, you can add all types of things here. So it doesn't matter what this is on, because it doesn't affect the price that it's working, right? So you could have it on 15 hour. The only difference is when you look at the candles, they're just, they're longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
So even though we're entering on a 3 minute and
Doesn't
we're
matter to
working
MEXC.
off of a day of
Yeah, This is only if you were using the MEXC chart as a trading guide.
okay.
Then you would be, you'd be using these as you'd be on the 3 minute here, and then deciding if you, I mean, based on here's your, RSI here, you'd be like, oh, it's heading down. Then you would use this to enter right there, right? But
Okay,
yeah.
so being in the day, being in a position trade, it's not crucial as far as if you're on a 3 minute candle, you don't have to wait for that 2 minute and 30 seconds to get in the trade. Then
Yeah, you're not.
for you basically which hot.
Yeah, because that's, when you have a high leverage of like 80 and above, that little that weight is very important because that weight could be worth 15%. But if you're
Gotcha.
on a 20x, then it might be 2%, right? It's always worth, getting into the habit of doing it, so that way when you do move up to day trading and so forth, you already have it as a habit.
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so you can utilize that. So I mean, it's basically, hey, if I'm getting in on a 3 minute and the candle just came up, now you got 2 minutes and 40 seconds to the next candle. It would be better to wait till you got 40 seconds for the next candle to come in,
or
and then get in.
Yeah, at least let the 2 minutes hit and then go to get in. Yeah,
Okay.
that should be
all right. So
something.
anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute before the next candle, you can hop in and basically pick up, not let the wick stop you out.
Right. So that's just something you should just teach yourself, so that when it matters, you're not like, oh shit, let me do that, because you're creating habits right now.
Right. Okay.
That's why when the guys go
All right,
and they don't put their stop losses, it's like and then one day, let's say, I mean, I don't think they get it. So they don't put their stop. So here's what happens, right? If you don't put your stop loss, then you don't have a set loss and a set profit. You're pretty much in the win, right? Two things that's wrong with that. If it starts to go down, right? Maybe you're adding money. Maybe your cost average buying. Well, now you're just so here now you're deciding that you're going to add more money. So let's say that you start adding more money, right? Now the problem is that you have to master an entry. So if you enter correctly
Right.
every time, then you shouldn't need to add money, right? It's very
Right.
rare. You should need to add money maybe one time for the spike that came out of nowhere to get yourself a better average cost buy, right? But
Right.
to keep adding, then you know you need to. Like a perfect example last night was Carlos, right? How he was looking at the one trade, and I said, bro, you need to wait until at least the 30 minute starts to head up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was literally 100% difference, right? Even on
Yeah.
if you were only doing a 50x, it was 50%. So your stop loss wouldn't have survived that, right?
Right.
So
Right.
not
And,
only
and
did you
I
lose,
just
25%, but then you get in and it's like now you're in a bad position. But by doing that, it just creates where when you put your stop loss. So I like to do this, right? And this is something in the position side. You can have a 10% stop loss because you have such a low um, margin, right? So what it allows you to do is that 10% at a 20x is like having
mhm.
a 20% at a 40, right? So you have a higher stop loss,
Mhm.
with the lower leverage, right? But what it also does, it allows me to basically say, hey, if that stop loss hit, then I was in a bad position, and then I need to reset. Now, who knows once it reverses how far it's going to reverse, right? I think that's where they kind of
Right.
get the mistake, like, oh well, let's say because I like to do this, I like to put a stop loss at 7 to 10. If it hits, I wait for the
Mhm.
RSIs to reset, then I get back in, and if it goes back and hits again, then I get back in, and then eventually 3 or 4 times, and then it dumps, right? So I might take a hit
Right.
for, let's say, you have $1,000, right? You take 10% down 100, 10% down 100, 10% down 100, and then finally it hits and goes for its run, right? And I make
Right.
60% on that, right? So there I
Yeah.
made back the 30% I lost, and I'm up 30%, right? Now
Right.
the odds of that happening, three bad entries like that, then I have to look and say, well, man, I'm jumping too early, right? So then
Right.
I find out where I could have just waited for something else to happen to confirm that okay, I'm gonna avoid this first stupid entry. Now the next time it happens,
Yeah.
my entries are better, and the odds are that 50% of the time the entry I take is going to be a winner, and I'm not going to lose 10%. But the other 50, when I do lose 10, and then I hit the next one, now I'm going to be when I hit that 50, I'm still going to be up 40, right? Now if you don't
Right.
set a stop loss, and it starts going the other way, and you're just saying, well, it's going to go up 20%. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to buy in. And it goes up 20% and you buy in. And then it goes up another 10% and you buy in. And it goes up another 20% and you buy in. Well, now you're 70% backwards.
Right. Yeah. And so some of the guys were like, no, I don't like the, use a stop loss because I get stopped out. It's like, okay, well,
That's the point.
I'm not saying anything. And I'm like, well, if you're getting stopped out, you're getting in at the wrong time. And
Right.
one of the other guys is like, no, I usually set my stop loss at like 35%, because I know it's gonna bounce. And yeah, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense either, because then you're getting in bad.
Right.
So
You basically just told
all you do,
you just told
yeah,
yourself you're getting in bad.
yeah, yeah, all you're doing is you're creating a safe zone for yourself, because you're screwing up when you're getting in. So it's like, oh yeah, it's okay. At 35%. Oh look, it just jumped 25, so my 35 still. But it's like, well, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, well, if you're doing that, you're just pacifying yourself to think that you're doing a good job, but you're not doing yourself
Any
any
favors?
benefit. You're
Yeah.
just thinking that you're putting your little icing on this cake, and it's it's not going to work.
No.
For the long run. And some of them, some people were like, oh, I don't do it, and I'll cost average, or if I see it going, the wrong way, and I get stopped out, I'll hurry up and buy back in. And it's like, man, now your emotions are taken. Or if you got stopped out, then just walk away from it, because if you're getting stopped out, you're gonna get emotional, and then the next time it's like, oh, well, hold on, maybe the next time I'll put my stop loss at 20%, but it's not the stop loss, it's
It's
you're
the
getting in
entry.
at the wrong time.
Right. But see, this is where conversations are good, because now I can make a video explaining a stop loss, right? Because
Yeah.
I trade based on common sense, right? It's all mathematics, right? I'm okay with losing 7 or 10% because I know my entries are good, right? So I can do it one
Right.
time and then make that back on the move, because I know the move's worth 100 or at least 50, right? So
Right.
it's kind of like, it teaches you to be patient. But what's happening is these guys don't want to be patient, and they want to get in, because maybe they're
Well,
watching a
yeah.
coin one time, and the one time they're watching a coin, they wait to get in, and then it dumps on them, right? And they're like, oh, I
Right.
missed that trade. So then they justify that one
Right.
time by what, maybe 4 times, right? But the other 6 times, right, it went up to 25, 30%, and 3 of those times stopped them out for 35. So 3 of the
Right.
times they get stopped out for 35%. And if they would have just took the 10% loss, right? Think about it. 3 times at 35, you're looking at 105%. 3 times at 10%, you're only looking at 30.
Right.
But see, they don't do the
It,
mathematics the way somebody who is thinking, sensibly on it, right? They're
well,
band-aiding the mistakes.
and I mean, look, I was in that conversation just listening for probably about 5 minutes, and
Mhm.
you could just immediately, right away, hear what the problems are. It's like one guy's like, oh, I can't wait. I need to get in. I can't wait a day and a half to 2 days to for a trade. I need the fast money. Going, there's your problem right there.
Yeah.
It's you. I mean, it's your total mindset. If you can't wait on something, I mean, this isn't like shooting a gun and boom, it's gonna rocket off, or you're pulling a carpet out and it's just gonna fall.
Yeah.
So I was like, when you said, hey, look, just stay where you are. I'm like, no, 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 I need to get out of this, because
The
I
wrong
got
mindset.
questions.
Yeah.
I don't need to be listening. I don't need to listen to any of this, because it's just not. It's not working.
Yeah, and
It's
that's,
like, golly.
that's kind of like, that's the issue that we live in. It's just basically, self harm, but
Yeah, yeah,
this is why everyone here is a student, right? Because then we go back and do
yeah.
reviews, and then we can hear, because they won't say that if I'm around, but to hear it, then I
Right.
know what video to make, right? Now I'll make a video on
Hmm.
basically breaking down mathematics, right?
Right.
This is all mathematics here. It's all about percentages, and our job is to make
Yeah.
more percentages and lose less, right? I mean, I play a lot of like
Yeah.
no limit poker, and I'm really good at
Hmm.
poker because I minimize losses and I maximize gains, right? So like I will, a lot of times I'll be in hands that I shouldn't be in, but they didn't force a mathematical moment to me for me to close, right? And I'll hang
Right.
around, and by the time they decide to get aggressive, I've made a hand. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And then, I punish them for allowing
Yeah.
me to be there. So, you know,
Yeah.
I've made guys, slam chairs on tables and run out of casinos, pissed off. But
Uh,
it's
oh, I
just
bet.
it just comes down to like it's all mathematics. Like I know what I'm willing to lose on a certain amount of hands, and I know what I need to
Right.
win on a certain amount of hands. So there's always these are all mathematics, right? It's like when a guy's like, all right, I have um I have $500, but I need to make 2,000, right? And they're doing $100 trades, and they're like, all right, I need this trade to do a 100x, and then they watch it go to 70, 80, and then it goes back down to 30, and they close at 20, and they're like, okay, and
Right.
they try it again, And this happens over and over, and they're taking 20%, but it's taking too long for them, right? And it's like, well,
Right.
if you're mastering the 20% trade, right? So why don't you put 300 in, right? So instead of $20, you're making 60, right? And now after 10 trades, you got 600. You can turn around and take that 600 and take 300 of it, add it to your 200. Now you're trading 500. So now you're 20%
Right.
on here, right? Is bringing in, your 4 or 500 when you're having good runs. I said, and then start, instead of closing at 20, why don't you start closing at 50? Right. So then they realize that by adding more money, they make more money, right? Instead of trying to get
Right.
500 to become, a 2,000 by going 300% on a long, why don't we just take the 500, put 1,000 in, and just do a 50 on that 3 times? You know what I'm saying? It's just
Right.
understanding the
Yeah.
concept of like compounding, you know what I mean? And it's kind of weird because
Right.
it's basics, but that's why I said the fundamental, like you're coming in right here where, we're rolling out the full program, right? Which the full program is teaching
Yeah.
traders to trade. And that's where the position trades is, right? So when you come in, you're looking at it,
Right.
you're like, yeah, this is what I needed. I need position trading. And now I
Right.
so that's
Yeah.
kind of why I was interested when you came in to kind of like look it over and get feedback in a week from you, because now you're like, yeah, I've been trading a certain way, and now it just gives me a system and a structure that I can see where I'm wrong, right? And that's all it is.
Right.
And everybody else, they get too far and they're like trading, snipes, days, and then they're like, I can't wait on a position trade. But position trades happen
R-
all day long. You know what I mean?
Right.
They they,
Right.
they happen all the time. So
That's just the thing of it. Plus, too, if you're not willing to lose the $100 that you just did, then right then and there you're emotional, because it's like, this is my money, and I'm gonna put 100 in, but I need to make it back in the next 5 minutes with $20 of profit. So,
yeah. So
man,
there's
this might not be a good idea for you to do this.
there's a guy. It's probably Driven. You might have probably ran into a guy named Driven. So Driven needs to make money, right? But so we were going over his trades, and he was like, "Yeah, I got in this trade, and then I thought it was going the other way, so I got out." And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what was your, what's your stop loss? He's like, no, I just closed it. I was like, all right, so you didn't let the trade actually play out. So I'm like, okay, so you can't really get feedback on that, because then he was like, yeah, then the trade ended up going the right way, and I'm like, yeah, well, you can't, you know what I'm saying? This is just, and I told him, I said, listen, you need to go watch all the videos and then
Right.
come back and start making trades, because you're trading in the
And,
middle of watching videos, right? Which
yeah,
is
and
not going to do it.
that might have been the guy, because he was like, yeah, I used to not do stop losses, because and he was just going on and on and on. Like, whoa, man, hold on,
Yeah.
let me get out of here, because the stuff you're spitting out makes no sense, because you're not following anything. You just kind of you're running wild. You're like a bull in a china closet, dude. Stuff's gonna break.
Yeah. That's kind of like when they come in, and the hardest thing is like discipline. But this is also why we have three different trades that we have. Right now it's just position
Yeah.
wise. I'm gonna close out with some day trades, and that'll give him a little more options. But he's still gonna be he'll be better. He'll have better success, but it'll give him options. But it still always comes down to waiting for that moment, putting your stop loss, doing your 10 trade review, right? So that way you can see where you made your mistake, right? So this is what we deal
Right.
with, was just, constantly reviews. And sometimes you get guys who are just, you know, trying to go, they see big gains, but it's like those gains come, but you have to hunt them down. And the only way you get them is you keep going up to bat, and you're just hitting singles. And then, every once in a while you get a good pitch that you can, hit a couple doubles and some homers. But it's just
Right.
it's you need to bat you need to bat your 600. You know
Hmm.
that's
Right.
the key. You need to take singles when singles are singles. You got to take what the game gives you, and that's the hardest part when they start off, because there's such a hurry. But it's like trying to explain, like, hey, you're rushing. You start, like I told him the other day. He was like, he's like, man, I started with $30. I lost 10. I'm like, listen, did you watch all the videos? They're like, nah. I'm like, all right. So by the time you figure out how to trade, you'll be down to $5, right? So then you'll make a trade and you'll make 50%, and then you'll go make another trade, and you'll make 10 good trades, and you'll be right where you started. So
Right.
you took a week to basically cost yourself a week. So
Yeah.
just start
Right.
with $5 and just practice the basics, and then once you can
Yeah.
consistently get in, because you can't get in a trade and then get out of a trade. It's like, well, did the stop loss? What was the point? Why were you in the trade if that was like what was going on there?
Right.
Like if I make a trade, I put
Right.
my stop losses. That's the end of it. You know what I'm saying? Unless I see a close that's better, and I'm like, all right, this is running. Oh, you know what? This just happened. Then I'll make a close and get out of a
Mm-hmm.
trade. But you have to, understand what happened to a trade before you move on, right? So that's kind of where that's the whole learning curve, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like all types of
Yeah.
guys come in here. You're a little bit different. You fit the system. Like you come in. The
Yeah.
position trading is built for guys like you. It's very simple
Yeah.
structure. You're just looking for triggers and just steps to walk through, and then ways to know that you're closing in the right place. Right? That's
Right.
all it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. And some guys can't. They
Yeah.
don't. They're not that patient. Right? They think that these
Yeah.
trades take forever to find, but I mean, there's probably 40 daily moons that hit today, but nobody called them out.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
like take a look here, if you slide over here, that's why I kind of go back and look, and I'm like, but we'll have the alerts coming out. Like here's a daily moon that happened, uh, on the 10th here, building through. We almost got a daily moon on Matic coming up. So this is just to teach you like the fundamentals of like volumes, and it's just teaching you the basics of trading, right? It's all
So, so in the Discord, obviously y'all got the bots set up. Do the bots call out daily red moons? Because I see them all the time. 30-minute green moon.
yeah.
4-hour red moon.
So they're
I
set
mean,
up.
do they call out dailies?
Yeah, so they're set up basically to the first system was the scalping and sniping system, right? And now we're
Yeah.
rotating out of that, right? So now what we're doing is we were going into day trading, but I realized after talking to guys, I was like, you know what the problem is? Maybe we started this backwards, right? Because maybe we should have just
Yeah.
started with fundamentals, which is position trading, and then you guys can work your way up because you're not grasping the concept of patience, right? So
Right.
then so what we're doing now is we're gonna opt out of the bots where they're going to call out the more dominant trades, right? So they're going to call out 4-hour crosses, right? Because that is a B trade on day trading, and it's also a trade that's needed for your position trade, right? So it's kind of
Right.
like that's the middle on there, and then on there we need the daily moons, right? Because those are the position
Right.
trades, and then you have your what comes after that. You have your 1-hour moons, right? So 1-hour moons are used for guys who are day trading, 1-hour greens, 1-hour negatives. Those are pullback trades. Those are the first move down. So those are we're going to change the bots to just that. And then we have an alert
Yeah.
that's going to be on the alert channel, the signal channel, which is going to send an alert for the position trade. So it'll be when there is we're trying to get it all done now, but what it'll do, it'll calculate when there's a daily red, the 4-hour and 2-hour crosses, and the 30-minute crosses, and then or 30-minute trend, and then it'll send an alert, which is basically
Yeah.
the trade.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Which is basically the setup, and then
Yeah.
you just go and look at the 3-minute.
3-minute,
and, you either
exactly.
get in and out.
Exactly.
Right.
You
Right.
just do your little checklist
So
whenever you see it.
yeah, yeah, right. So the other thing on the Discord, and I don't know if it's the Discord, the settings or anything, but does it show like when people post in the channel? Does it show like if I haven't seen it? Does it show like a number? Like, hey, there's 3 new messages in this.
No,
I mean,
no,
'cause
no,
some
no,
of the
no.
other Discords I'm in, like if there's messages in here that I haven't seen, it gives me, like a number. It's like, oh shit, look, I can look at it right
Yeah,
here,
so
and I
here,
know there's
you
2 messages in here.
You see my screen?
Yeah.
So over here, these are discords, right? You see the numbers.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in the Discord, right? So here I come here. This is the Discord that we're in, right? The dollar sign. If I
Right.
click that,
Right.
right, and that'll kind of like let you know what's going on there. But because I'm here, you know, it doesn't show me like the messages that are um, kind of like new
Yeah.
to what's
For
popping
some.
because I'm already here, right? But
So,
if you went out of
so
here,
if I click out, if I click out into somebody else's Discord,
mhm.
it still doesn't show if there's a new message in, like the VC Crypto Nation Discord. So I'm wondering if it's something on my end.
Hey, let me see. It could be. Let's see here. Integrations, servers. Let's see here. A lot of times it'll be in our. I'm trying to think what would be. Let's see here. Hmm. Check out the overview. All right, so inactive channel. Okay, I'm automatically move members to this channel. Blah blah blah. All those are on there. That looks good. And yeah. So sometimes, I mean, there are safety things that go in there, but I don't think we have anything where um, the
So maybe
comments.
maybe it's a setting on my side that I'll have to go look and dig to see what's going on. But I mean, I know I didn't change any settings on any of the other ones, but so be it. If I'll just look through it and see if I can find something. Because I mean, that's the whole thing. Is when I'm on my laptop, I get the little alerts will slide out. But if I'm gone and I'm looking at my phone and there's nothing coming through, it's like, oh shit, what's going on, and I can go there and I'd have to like actually click into like the channel on the Discord and see what's what's going on as far as that, because it's just not there already.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Because I can see like
Yeah,
other things like
so
you get messages and stuff like that. So it could be.
yeah, you see how yours right there. I mean, you
Yeah.
got your little thing with all of the numbers on them.
Yeah.
Now some of them don't though, so I don't know if it's just uh, you know their Discord channel or if I got to change a setting
It
because
might
it just
be.
it's just not showing up.
Yeah, it could be something on your side where you might have to activate like wanting to know. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, gotcha. So okay, all right. Well, I'll take a look at that. Oh, the other thing is, uh, I'm gonna have my oldest son send you his trading view profile, so you can send him the indicators.
Yeah.
Uh, like you had done to me. I'll get him the. You want him to email it to you or text it to you?
Yeah, he can just you can test it. You can if he's in the Discord, just you can just send me in the
Yeah, he
DM.
is.
Yeah. So tell him to send me.
Yeah, just send
Yeah, send the admin the thing.
direct message.
Yeah, if you want, you can
Okay.
send it to me until I find him. See if you can direct message me.
Yeah.
Tell him to find the admin that's like posting in the chat, or like go to the
Yeah.
welcome folder. Make sure it's the right guy. So if you go to the welcome folder,
Yeah.
you know what I
Because
mean.
when he joined the Discord and did everything like that, not a half hour after that, one of the scam admins sent him
Yeah,
a message.
yeah, no, they're fast. They're
He's like,
fast,
"Oh
bro.
man, yeah, he just messaged me." I'm like, "I seriously doubt." And I went and looked,
Yeah,
at it, and it's got the little underscore
yeah,
behind it. I'm like, "That's not him. That's
yeah.
not
No,
him."
it's no, they're fast, bro. They're very. They stay on top of it, man.
Yeah,
They work
I'm
hard, bro. I'm
telling you, it's
telling you, these
crazy.
guys they work really, really hard. I
Yeah,
mean, I told him
nuts.
one time, I was like,
Okay.
listen, I'm going to hire you to do marketing. I mean, guys, if you take this and do good, take it and do good,
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
the dude's on it, man. New
No,
person
no.
comes in the Discord, boom, message.
Boom, message. How you doing? You ready to
Yeah,
sign up? They're quick. That's what I'm
right.
saying. I
Yeah,
need that,
crazy
man. I told
shit.
the guys, like, guys, you need to. We'll figure something out here, man. Put you to work. Fucking
Yeah, yeah.
scammers.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go start working on some more stuff, and
Well, before you go, like the last
probably
thing that you were
in the
asking there
yeah.
was like posting like trade too, right? So just make sure that when you every time you're getting into trade, when you do get it, just make sure that you go over
Uh-huh.
to your little 10-day trade right here. Just click it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10-day trade review. Right.
yeah. Just put it in there, and then we go through. And then when you get your 10 trades, we go back and take a look at them, and then see how you're doing on that.
Okay.
Casaurus. All right, so everybody, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, so just post them in there, and then when we have our 10, we go back and look at them. But yeah, you're right on track, bro. I mean, you're right where you need to
Okay.
be there. Um, Stay in the position side. There'll be more videos
Yeah.
cleaning up there, and I'll make a thing about the stop loss because I don't think they understand like what it's for. It's like it's hard to hold. It's the hardest part of the system is like it's all you have to also follow the system. And the system is all accountability. You know,
Yeah.
and if you don't have accountability, you're never going to get anywhere if you don't like hold yourself to what it is. That's why this thing has so many checklists because you just go through a simple system and then the checklists are very crisp. So when you have that,
Right.
you just that's easy to do. You go, okay, like right now I'm about to get in this trade, right? So I look at my 4 hour
Hmm.
still going up. So what I look for is okay, well what am I going to have? Am I at least got my 2 hour, which I do, right? My volume's going down. And what I'm looking at here is like is the volume is against me or something like that. I see I have a 4 hour red trend, right? So I know that during those time periods, as long as if I get a 3 hour red trend, I'm going to be in a good spot. So even though I have a 4 hour headed up, I know that my daily's headed down, right? So that's going to kind of like contradict what the 4 hour is. And I'm just kind of like spaking through the basics, right? And then I slide over and I'm like, all right, so what's next? 2 hours headed down. So we know we're going to get a pull down here, right? 3 minutes already
Right.
red trend. I already have a 15-minute red trend. So this is just working its way through. So now I just go through my checklist. 1 hour is headed down. 30 minutes is headed down. 15-minute is
15
bang. Yeah.
minutes.
See how it's right there? The volume is kind of coming against me. So that just means now I know my entry, right? So my entry is going to be when this 15-minute starts to head back down and this blue line starts
And
to
it
give up. Yeah.
drags down with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So that's going to give me my entry. So now I know that I have a short coming up here, and then I could take a quick peek here. And all I'm doing here on the 3 minutes is looking at volume, right? I already know that this is going to be a short because we're already negative volume. So that means we're in a good little zone here, right? And then the first sign of shorting is 15-minute negative value, right? So here we go. We're negative here. So that just gives me as soon as this comes back down to negative, we're going to have a short here. So now I know my trigger. So now I'm like, all right, 15 minutes just needs some red value. And that's how quickly you can evaluate a trade. And it's waiting for that to come in, because that's the hardest part for everybody is just to do the checklist, right? And that's where they that's where they struggle, and there's the only way to fix that.
And I
is
think
to do it.
some of them are like, if there's 5 out of the 6 things going right, then maybe that overtakes the 6, so we won't worry about that. And that's where they just shitting on themselves because if it's all 6 need to go where it needs to go.
Well,
and
this is where
then the move is going to fit.
Yeah, and where that comes down to is this, right? Comes down to this. Yeah, can you override and jump something? Yes. But that comes down to volume. That's why there's the volume is king video, right? How do you get out of what you're doing? Well, that comes down to, working over volume is the volume side, right? So where's your volume on this? That's the only way to override something is if the volume is with you. That's where these guys make the mistakes. They don't know, like, I need an open on there. There we go. They don't know that basically is the override. You can override or jump something as long as you have everything else that you need. You know what I mean? That's where they make the mistake because they're getting in there and they're not deciding on like, okay, this, and this, right? But how do I override a trade? Well, the override of a trade comes down to volume, right? So I know when I'm looking at YGG, I've been beating it up all day. I'm negative volume here on the 15, right? So that's going to give me the ability to know that this 15-minute pull down, even though it's a little bit shorter, is going to get a bigger drag. Plus we have a red trend, right? So now I'm like, all right, where's my 30? Okay, we're going to drag that down. So I know that I'm going to beat this up a little bit, get a bounce, beat it up again, but I'm doing it because the blue line on the 30 is starting to bend, which means this could,
Is track.
yeah, this could go at any minute. So I'm willing to, you know, fight this for a little while because I do have a, you know, the red moon 45 minutes is heading down. So it's all starting to drag down. 1 hour. Notice how the 1 hour, the one thing I noticed right away is the 1 hour bounced up and then got rejected.
And then rejected.
Yeah. And then the first thing I'm looking for is what? Volume. So when I went to the 1 hour, the first thing I noticed is that we have negative volume. So the only really thing that I'm waiting for here is for this blue line to actually break down. Now, this is where, and this will give you the idea of what's going to happen is you see how this is starting to come down, but the blue line decided to push forward one more time, right?
Yeah.
That's showing strength, right? And that's a video I'm going to cover here is, so what it should have done there, instead of going sideways because we have this big pull on the money, this should have been down. But the fact that it isn't means that it wants to hold for one more fight, which means I could probably get the 15-minute to bounce one more time and then go into it. But that just lets me know the type of fight I'm in. But I'm negative on I'm below the 4 line, I'm double yellow, and I'm not even like on the top yellow. I'm already halfway through. So I'm
you're
working
already
my
halfway
way
through it, right?
So I know that eventually I'm going to get this negative 1 hour volume. I'm going to get the dump I want, right? Which we've been waiting for literally all day. So that's where we're sitting as far as like on the trade, and that's where guys are. What they don't understand is what's your leverage, right? Then that's where you can get in, right? You can't cheat the system on a high leverage. The problem is they're trying to cheat the system with high leverage, which doesn't work.
Yeah, and they get
get burned. If you want to do that, then go down to 20x, and then cheat the system.
Yeah. Right.
Change the view. That's where we're at right now, is trying to, you know, pinpoint the pain and then just fix that, right? Adjust them. You know what I mean? Like if you're unwilling to follow this system, then I'll create the system for you. I just need to know what you're doing. That's the point of posting your trades. Once you show me what you're doing, I'll fix it by adjusting your entries and how you enter. But if I don't know what you're doing wrong, then I can't help you. But if I knew every single time you're going in early saying to yourself, I'm going to do a 35x stop loss, then, and you know you're doing it wrong, then I'll take you from 100 or 80x or 75 and put you at 30 to 40, right? And I'll adjust you down. And then I'll have your targets to longer trades and say, well, this isn't the trade for you. You need to be trading B trades. All a B trade is simply the 2 hour or the 4 hour breaking down, right? Which we don't have here. We would wait for that to happen. Now you're not waiting for daily red moons. Now you're only waiting for B trades, right? So there's adjustments you can make. But if you're jumping in here early and you have that stop loss, then you can just hold this damn thing until the B trade happens, and then you can get down to here and collect your money, right? It's just going to be that once you lock in, that trade is locked in. You're going to be there for either 5, 6, maybe even 14 hours. But what's the difference?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It took a day for you to double your money. Well, normally in a day you lose half of it. Right? So you have to understand the concept of what you're trading so that we understand what you're trying to do. That's why we're, you know, as we bring things in, there's not much more we can teach on the scalping. Scalping comes down to you executing. And if you can't execute, then that's not for you. You know, that's just the way it is. We need to find out where you can execute, right? And if guys posted their entries, then I can just see how they execute, and I'll just build their own little trading system to them and be like, here, use this, this, and this, right? That's simple.
Right, and that's what it seemed like. You know, the guys were like, oh, I don't want to post my losses, you know, but it's like, one, you're doing it to yourself. Yes. And if you're not saying, hey, you know, I lost on this, and then figuring out why, you just basically you're shooting in a breeze, you know?
Yeah.
You're just trying to drive the car blind. It's not going to work.
Not going to work. But that's where we're at with everybody.
right.
Is just that moment. So yeah, just stay on your. That's what I said. When you get a chance after
Yeah.
that you get your 10 trades rolling, go back and we'll do a
Mhm.
review because you're the guys that are coming in now, and I want your opinion of where you're at so I can adjust to what you need to kind of have in order to basically say, all right, well, you know what, this is what I was looking at, and then we can tighten up the position
Right.
trades to where it benefits guys that are actually like putting it out there. But yeah, that's when I look at the 10 trades for review. I mean, we're starting to get guys actually posting now, and we can start like really like digging in. I gotta get this credit card for this guy here, but we need to start digging into what they're doing. But now that they're posting, notice when they're posting, they're winning because they're not.
Well, some of the guys like I only post my wins. Like, well, geez.
Yeah, that's why the 10 trade review is they put in where they enter, right? Entering, and then they post what they made, right? That's accountability, right? He took 7%. That's great, right? So I can go look at that and tell him, hey, you know what? You could have been here. Good trade. Maybe you hold a little bit longer, right? So that's kind of like where guys are, putting your stuff in. That way, when you post it in, you got to post in your entry. Then we take the, we see the thing. We can kind of like go after, what they're hitting. But that's the key to posting, right? They don't. A lot of times, those guys are, it's the weirdest. Like, that's the conversation. Like, I don't want to post my losses, and it's like you're in a course here. That's like a student not turning in his paperwork because he knows he doesn't know he's got a D, so you're just gonna take an F.
Right. Right.
It's like turn in your work and let's move. But that's where we are. That's why I told you when you came in, it's not the system that's the hardest part here. It's the effort and the time we have to develop. Because I'm actually, as we move forward, I'm going to be hiring people to be more efficient with everything. Because trying to get people, we have to review a lot of trades, and more than that, we got to kind of like constantly put out posts and everything to remind people what to do. So you'll see as it start to move over, and then once this is kind of like this is just a beta. Once this kind of finishes out, then we'll have the main website that'll have your classrooms and all your other stuff. So right now we're just kind of looking at like what's happening, right? Because we're not getting the feedback we need to help people, and it's hard to help when you're not getting like the classroom. So that's why in the new videos, when you go through them, it's like, yo, this is what you do, this is how you post. It's just basics, you know what I mean? But it's a very but it's hard to get them to do it. You know what I mean? Which I don't understand. But eventually,
they're only be helping themselves, but
yeah, and eventually they will get it, because after a bunch of videos like this one, student reviews, they'll hear guys like you go, man, just post your damn thing. It'll make sense. I don't care about the wins. I want to see the losses. I can help you get more wins better, but we need to fix losses first, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you're winning 5 out of 10. You need to be winning, 7 out of 10, and then we need to fix the percentages so that you're making 300% on every 10, right? So it's a constant, it's all numbers. But now I'm glad I kind of like, so that's why you'll see new videos pop in, because I get to pick the brain and then understand what's happening. So now I understand what they're thinking when they're, because I don't get it. So now I understand how they're thinking of stop losses, right? So now I can make videos about stop losses and be more, to what's happening, the point of what they're missing, right? The point of the stop loss is to teach you that your entry's bad. You know what I'm saying? It's like like getting on a bike and going, well, I've never drove a bike. And you're like, great, here, you have training wheels. And then we've all done it. The kid takes off the training wheels, is like, I got this shit. First thing he does is go down a fucking hill and hits a car. Right? And he's all tore up on the side of the road.
Falls off, rips your whole leg up. Right.
And you're like, you know what? Put them fucking training wheels on.
back on. Yeah. Nope.
But that's,
you
it's just, that's where we are. But that's where we're at. Like, you're right. You're like you're coming in right when we're just rolling out the position trades, but we're finishing up the beta. It's like I was telling you, like, the hardest part about this, man, is getting people just to go through the system. Like, just post your trades. Right. And then we review.
And it doesn't help. It doesn't help you out if all you see being posted is, hey, everybody's winning. So you're thinking, shit, man, everybody's got it down.
Yeah.
What you seeing is, they're posting the 2 wins out of the 10 that they've done. They've lost on 8, and so I'm gonna post my 2 wins, and hey, everybody's gonna pat me on the back.
Right.
Great,
And
that's
then
lovely. But
that goes on for like months, and then one day someone's like, "Fuck this thing,
yeah, what
VC.
happened
I
to
never
whatever
win.
his name is? Yeah, yeah. Oh man, this thing sucks.
This sucks. I never
paid
win."
this money for this. Yeah.
And I'm like, bro,
Wow.
it's a system. Like and then that's why I kind of look at it like me. It's like I look at it like, all right, what do I have to do to get people to follow the system? Like, so that's why in the videos we're doing the videos like, oh hey, this is it. Now the 10 trade review. So now it's like you'll see a lot of postings like do the simple steps, and then I'm gonna start posting now 10 trade review. This is how you post for review. You're almost there, and then now
Right.
you're gonna start seeing follow-ups, and then you will get a lot better at it. But that's kind of where I have to get better at, being more communicative, where the people feel like doing the system. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that's the key to it. Like we all have to kind of like come to that medium spot of like, okay, if we do the system, it all works. Now I just got to get people to actually do the damn system so we can, tighten up the wrong things. Because this thing, the beautiful thing
Right.
about the system is it's designed to trade from position to scalp. But each position basically comes in and it's like you have to follow certain rules, right? So if you're not on
Right.
those rules, then each thing's wrong. So then what I realized is a lot of people were trading trades that weren't the right trades. They're doing a pullback
Right.
trade when it's a reversal. They're doing a long trade when it's a pullback trade, right? So they're getting like confused on what trade they're in. So that's the new videos that'll be coming out over the next day or two, is like focusing on what trade you're on and then doing that trade.
Right.
Right. So mastering the basics.
Yeah.
So right now what I'm really doing is just circling around the only things that matter, right? I'm not trading anything
Yeah.
unless there's a 2-hour and a 4-hour working together. Right. That's kind of like
Yeah.
the only things I really want to look for. So now I got to go out there and say, okay, if
Yeah.
we spent all day, and that's why you'll see the bots will become 2 and 4 hour bots, because it's the only trades that matter. So 2 and 4 hour
Yeah.
bots working together, and if we can find a bunch of those trades, then we just have to execute those trades. And that's really like
Right.
at the end of the day, the only thing that matters. So we're really simplifying right now, but it's hard because I don't get a lot of feedback. But we'll see as we kind of roll forward in the next 30 days. We'll have a big change in the next 30, where people are like, yeah, I got to post my losses. Like that's what we want to see.
Right.
It's weird,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's like people don't want to post losses, but the only way to fix something is to know when you're doing something wrong, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
like the key.
Right.
Because I find a lot of times the guys that complain
Right.
the most, they never post. It's like they don't post entries and they're
Right,
mad,
yeah.
and I'm like, well, I can't. What do you want me to do? You know,
Yeah,
check your
exactly.
computer history. I'm not mirroring
Right.
your trades. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want me to do?
You're not
I don't know
you're
what
not a
you're
mind
doing.
reader.
Yeah, I don't know what entry you did. I don't know why you entered that trade. You got to kind of post that shit
Right.
so we can, get to the point where it's like, oh, this is the right trade. This is what I'm doing, and then we can figure out like the whole point of everything that everybody's doing. That'll be a lot easier for
Yeah.
everybody. But yeah, man, I'm excited,
Yeah,
man. So,
yeah.
welcome to it, man. How's it going so far?
Yeah, no, I'm just, I'll go through videos, and then, it's like a first over, and then, I'll go do something else, and then I'll come back to it, watch the whole thing over again, and kind of really, because I already know what it's about. So
Yeah.
now I can really, pay attention, and I'll watch the whole thing again, and then I'll go, do something different, whatever, and then I'll come back to it, and then I'll start taking notes on it. To because that's where I was getting lost at first. It's like I watched all the videos in the start course, and then when I started watching the videos in the position trade, and it was like, wait, hold on, is it supposed to be entering here? And so I'd have to go back, and I'm like, maybe some of these videos are kind of flip flopped and
Oh, yeah,
all
that's
that.
perfect.
So I'm like, okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm
So
gonna just
that's
focus
where,
on,
yeah.
these 4 that's there.
Let me.
Because I was really, I was totally thrown off at first, and that's why I text you. I'm like, man, I got some questions about.
Yeah.
Can
Oh,
we
so
go
what I
over
need
this
to
and
do
look at
is,
that?
yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. So what I need to do is when you go into position trades, I need to make a video of welcome to position trades. Now, the videos that you've seen prior to this were basically a full out videos from position to day trades to scalp. It's just an overview. What you want to do here is take notes here. Now, as you move forward, you'll understand where those other videos come in. But right now, you're going to focus in on a very simple process. And these trades are triggered by very simple movements. There will be day trades that have a different style as well. And that's where those other videos kind of cover every type of trade. So if you have anything right there, just start here and focus on just working on what these trades are here. Okay, so I'll make that video there. Okay. I love it.
Yeah. Because I mean, once I was like, okay, some of the trades, when it says start, I'm like, okay, well, this is the step you're gonna follow and do everything, and it's like, okay, here we are at position. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, some of this stuff's totally different, you know. So it's like once I watched everything, you know, in the position trade, and then went back, and then just kind of went through it again and started taking notes on it. That's why I was like, okay, you know, to me, if I can see it and listen to it at the same time as the video is going, and I'm seeing, you know, what the trigger is, here's the checklist and everything, it makes sense at that point. If you can't, and maybe that's the other thing that some people, you know, don't realize either is, you know, they're too much in their head while they're doing it, and not just, hey, here is this on a sheet right here, check it off. Is this going the right way? Nope. Then just move on to the next one. Yeah. You know, is this right? Is this right? Yep. Okay. Now switch over, go to, you know, the 3 minute. Do you have a red moon, red trend with negative volume? Then get in. You know, because all the boxes got checked off. And maybe that's some of the stuff too that people are, you know, they're trying to figure it out. They're running through everything maybe in their head, or hey, look, even some people, they take too much notes, you know, way too much, and it just gets all garbled up in front of them, and you know, then they at the desk throwing papers everywhere, and you know, they just totally.
Well, that's why. That's why you see like now the videos where I'm very like specific on the order of it, right? So it's like trigger, find the trigger, then check the checklist. If the checklist isn't there, then there's no trade. Right, so I know right away that if I look at something, right, especially in the beginning of a short, right, volume is king, right? So for me, it's always volume, right? So the very first thing I want to know before I even start looking at beating up a trade is I need volume below the 4.5 line. So right now, that's what I got on YGG. So I know that this is starting to become a trade where, you know, the weakness could pop off at any time, right? And the very first thing I look for before any trade, especially when it first starts, is it's the 15 minutes below the negative line, the zero line. Go. Yeah, once it's there, now I know I have a chance, right? So we're going to start beating this up. So now it's just taking that from, you know, A to B from there.
You got, I mean, you got the, you know, the blue lines dragging down, basically with the money. So.
So that's kind of like the easiest part of like to find a trade, right? So that's where the bullet points is, right? So what I'll do is, I'll make that video for when you get to position trades to realize that, you know, the other videos you're watching kind of were, you know, examples on multiple trades. That's why a lot of times when I was talking about the trades, I was like, all right, I'm not going to go into the trade. I'm just going to basically cover what this does, right? And that's where, you know, we'll make that video and say, guys, so starting here in the start video, that covers the variety of trades we have. So you might have seen some videos on volume is king, which were designed and made at the point for scalping and sniping, right, and day trading. So when you start position trading, you're not going to see the same entries or the same, you know, you're not looking for the same moons or the same setups, right? The only thing that really stays consistent in every single trade is always going to be where we're looking for a 2 hour and a 4 hour coming down together, which are the most consistent trades in day trading and what you are in position trading.
Position trading. Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right, man. I appreciate the feedback, man. I like it. Yeah, man. I'm excited. Yeah, tell your son to go to the welcome folder and look for the admin that writes in the welcome folder. It's me. It's the only one that actually is allowed to write in there and send a message there. And then I'll shoot him back.
I'll let him know. All right, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Talk to you later.